Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of everyone here today, I'd like to give a very warm welcome to our new Irish manager, Martin O'Neill. Martin is joined by the FAI CEO, John Delaney, and we'll give the photographers a few minutes just to get their shots.
Down here, Jen. Over here, guys. John, Martin. John, over that. John, just come on right to us now, just for a second, if you wouldn't mind, guys. Lovely. Great stuff. Big smiles, guys. Martin. Thank you. Martin, big smiles this way. This way. Martin, over here. Martin, just in the middle.
That's it, lads, that's it.
John, okay. Just one more towards me now, guys. Lovely stuff. Big smile.
Sit down, that's right.
Okay. Thank you.
Great stuff. Well done. Great.
Now, thank you very much. And to open proceedings, I'd like to welcome Martin O'Neill and offer him the chance to give some thoughts on his new position as Irish manager.
Good afternoon, everyone. Afternoon. You were supposed to say good afternoon, Martin, but thank you very much. No. Listen, a genuine privilege and pleasure to be here today. Privilege being manager of the Republic of Ireland. I'm genuinely excited by it. I'm looking forward to it immensely, and just really pleased to be here. I obviously have to thank John for choosing me, and I hope obviously in the next couple of seasons to trying to live up to that. So without further ado, I will invite some questions along here.
Okay.
I hope they're not too difficult. No?
Okay, we'll take the first question from Rob Dorset there. Into the microphone, please, Rob.
How are you?
I'm very well. Nice to see you again.
And you.
Many congratulations.
Thank you very much indeed.
The man alongside you, John Delaney, said that you'd had options in the Premier League, you'd had job offers in the Premier League that you turned down in order to take this job. Can I ask you why, and also ask you how different it's going to be for you to go from the day-to-day involvement with players to an international manager's life?
Well, that's a good question. I think that is the thing that I probably was pondering over most. Not the fact it was the Republic of Ireland, quite the opposite, but it was the idea of, stepping in from day-to-day management, which I've done for 20-odd years, into managing an international team where the get-togethers are certainly at a condensed length of time, but you have seemingly some time to wait. Now, my concern, of course, is the very obvious one, is that you don't work with players on a day-to-day basis. And the other one is that, sometimes if you lose a football match, at least at club level, you think that you have the opportunity the following week to put it right. Well, I'm not so sure what I'd be like if you have 3 months to think about it. So all of those things were considerations. And then the more I did consider it, I thought of the great record here of very successful international managers. I suppose going back to Jack Charlton, starting the whole proceedings. Then you had Mick McCarthy, then you had Trapattoni, all very successful. And other managers who maybe just didn't have the luck to come through. So when I thought about it, maybe this opportunity might not afford it myself, might not have been afforded to me again. So that was a consideration, and I'm delighted to be here.
Do you believe you can get this squad to the European Championships in 2016? You've got a bit of time, haven't you? You've got a year before those competitive matches happen.
Well, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. My own view is that I think that I would like to, I would try and, I wish there were some competitive games coming up more quickly than they are. So, but that's the nature of the business. And what it is, I think John's told me that it's my remit to get the team to France. My contract lasts for the length of time or the duration of the time that the Republic are in the Euros, and that is my driving ambition.
Tony O'Donoghue from RTE.
Martin, hi and welcome.
Thank you very much.
The decision to appoint Roy Keane as your number 2 has caused massive interest, and he's certainly been a controversial figure in Irish football. Do you think he's going to challenge you as a manager as much as you want him to challenge the players?
Well, I thought you were going to say it's caused headache. It certainly caused me a few headaches as well too. Someone asked me the other day, why Roy? And I've asked myself that question a number of times. But I was joking there. I'm absolutely delighted he's on board. He's an iconic figure. Great player. One of the best players who've played in the Premiership since its inception. And great player. So having a problem with that there. Went into management. I see Sir Alex Ferguson's points there that he said that perhaps maybe Roy might have gone into management too soon. I don't really know that. All I do know is that from working with him, and I have over the last couple of years doing some television work with in the Champions League games, I have found him very engaging. I have found his thirst for knowledge amazing. I see him at football matches there when he doesn't. There's no need for him to be at games. He loves football. I think like all of us in the game, I think he has points to prove. And if you're asking me about I mean, I know how brilliant he was, and I know how sometimes how polarised opinions can be with Roy. But I don't have a problem with that. The fact is that one of the greatest managers, if you're asking about overshadowing, one of the greatest managers in the game finally decided that Roy was no longer wanted because he felt he was going to be overshadowed. So if he decides in the same thing, I might call Alex Ferguson up and see how he dealt with it. Yeah. So, but all told, I think it'll be great. I think it'll be great for me for a start. I would like that. But more importantly, I think he will be brilliant for the Republic of Ireland.
How closely have you been watching the Republic of Ireland recently in the last championship campaign and the European Championships?
Well, from a distance. You know, I've obviously watched the games on television, and when they haven't been live, you would see extended highlights of the games. Of course, when I was at Sunderland, John O'Shea and Kieran Westwood was involved, and a young James McLean at that time as well too. And so I had more than a passing interest.
Any next question? Yes, to Damien, with the edges behind you.
Martin, can I ask what Brian Clough might have thought of you and Roy Keane working together?
He would have had some palpitations, I'm quite sure, the same man, you know. And I think that he would have. I think he would have worried for both of us. No.
Next question, Nathan. Just put your hand up there, Nathan.
Martin, what exactly do you envisage Roy's role being on a day-to-day basis?
On a day-to-day basis, again, I think that will be. We will obviously want to get to as many matches as possible. I don't think that is a problem with Roy. He goes to the games anyway, as I've mentioned earlier. So when we get together, that'll be a different issue. But if you're talking about being away from the team, which we will be more times, more often than not, then I think it's a matter of just liaising with him. We want to see the players, want to watch the players as often as possible. I think this idea that you maybe watch one player once now, you don't have to do that. We will have the time, and we will have the opportunity to do it. But on a role here with me, I mean, I've worked with an assistant manager, John Robertson, for years and years. And John's opinion I valued greatly. His temperament I valued greatly. I'm not saying that John is the same temperament as Roy. I don't intend to change Roy too much. I would maybe make the occasional adjustment if that's possible, and a little bit of volatility will do nobody any harm, I think, you know, and Roy as well.
Let's go to TV3 here.
Martin, Kieran McSweeney of TV3. How soon in your decision-making process did Roy Keane become part of your plans? What was his initial reaction, and how long did it take him to say yes to becoming your number 2?
Well, I did mention to him about the possibility of working with me here, and it took him about 4.5 seconds. He was absolutely delighted with it. I said to him that the roles that we would have, and he told me that he would reverse those in about 10 minutes. That is not true.
Martin, your predecessor, Giovanni Trapattoni, went on the record to say that in his opinion there's no league in Ireland. Given that both you and Roy Keane played league football on this island, I'd like to know, first of all, whether you agree with that, and if you don't, I'd like to know whether home-based players can aspire to be part of your international setup while remaining at home.
Well, I mentioned this to John, and there might have been a little bit of loss in translation there with Mr. Trapattoni, whom, by the way, I've got the enormous respect for. I think his record proves that. But obviously, I want to try and see what is in this island, and if there are some young players. I was talking to some of the youth managers there this afternoon, and they tell me that there are some up-and-coming players. They also told me that they were under 16, which is a fat lot of good to me at the moment, you know. But I preferred if they had turned around and said there was 3 blinding 20-year-olds. I'll be straight in there for that. At 16 with a 2-year contract, I'm not so sure that that works arithmetically. But anyway, overall, absolutely, I will be going to. I will have the time, the opportunity to come over and view the situation for myself.
Next question is here.
Martin, when you learned of Giovanni Trapattoni's decision to leave, did you straight away say to yourself, this is a job I can see myself doing?
Essentially, yes. That's the point. You know, when I was talking about thinking about the difference between club football and international football, which Rob had mentioned earlier there, that was something that I'd been mulling over for some time. So when the opportunity came here to do it, I wanted to do it.
Martin, invite the next question. Martin, put your hand up. Yeah, perfect.
Do you have a remit in relation to looking at underage structures in Ireland, or is it something you would like to do?
Sorry?
Do you have a remit in relation to looking at underage structures in Ireland, and if not, is it something you'd like to do?
It's something I'd like to do. It's not John again and I in our discussions touched on this here. I think it'd be pretty important for me, and I think just generally it would be nice to actually go out and around about the place. Again, essentially my job here is to try and qualify for the Euros in 2016. That's probably what I'll be judged on, but that does not mean that I shouldn't play a greater role, and hopefully in the development of Irish football, if I can.
Gentleman back here.
Martin, have you spoken to either Giovanni Trapattoni or Marco Tardelli since you've taken the role? And if not, will you? And what would you ask them? Are there any mistakes that you feel that they might have made that you could avoid?
Oh, I don't know about that, but absolutely, I would like to speak to Mr. Trapattoni about it, without question, to see how he felt about it. Will you consider that when he took over, you had the incident with Thierry Henry, so you're very unlucky. Then qualified for the competition a few years ago. So absolutely, and his experience at international level, and obviously club level, I would value greatly.
Man back here.
Martin, will you be looking to bring back maybe Damien Duff, or look to some of the players that recently retired, or even Stephen Ireland as well? Will they be people that you'd be kind of looking to maybe bring back to the fold?
Where are we speaking? Sorry, who's speaking to me?
Sorry, at the back here.
I apologise. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Would you be looking, in terms of the recent retirements that we had over the last couple of years, like Damien Duff and Shagan, would you be looking to see if they're interested in coming back, and maybe Stephen Ireland as well?
In general, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. I would like to obviously get these 2 games out of the way, start to assess it and have a look at it. If anybody is going to be of value to the Republic of Ireland set up here, and I think that's worthy of it, I would certainly have a very, very open mind for it. Genuinely open mind.
Stephen from 90.
Martin, Stephen Doyle, 98 FM. The talent that we have there at the moment, that you have at your disposal now, Martin, the senior players available to you now, they're obviously not at the standards that Irish players were maybe 10, 15 years ago, not playing with the big clubs. So are you confident that you have got the tools there to do what you need to do?
Well, again, I think that there are some very, very talented young players coming through, and I'm hoping that maybe in the next 8 or 9 months, you never know, somebody arrives in the scene where none of us had thought about, and suddenly erupts onto the scene and is brilliant that you can't leave them out of the team. So that's a possibility. But with some of the players that we have very talented young players, in the side, gifted lads that I'm hoping that can go and express themselves. But like anything else, I'm obviously dependent on my best players being available for me for the big games. And that is something that's probably in the lap of the gods.
Gentleman in the third row here.
Hey Martin, Alan Condon, goal.com. In the past you've adopted to play a strong holding forward with John Hartson at Celtic and Emil Heskey at Villa. Will you be looking to adopt the same approach for Ireland? And if so, what players will be looking at to fill that role?
No, I will have a look at it. These 2 games gives me this opportunity to do so. Gives different styles of play, different systems. There's not a system that I'm not aware of. I should be at this particular stage of my life. And at club level, during different spells at different clubs, we've had different systems that I felt adapted and adjusted to the teams that I was playing or the teams that I was picking. So I'll have a look at it. It depends what's available to me, and we'll work accordingly. But essentially, what I would like to try and do is develop a style of play. Of course, that would be great. That we could identify with, but not to lose the inherent passion that I believe exists within the squad, and that certainly exists within the supporters. So those are the type of things that I would be hoping that a galvanisation of all of that there would be terrific.
Rob Dorset from Sky.
Martin, I'd like to ask you and John this one actually. I'd like both of your takes on it. It's a 2-year contract at the moment. Clearly everybody would like that to be longer. But do you see Roy Keane as a natural successor to you for the manager's job?
Again, I think you're... you know what? You just mentioned it. I'll defer that to John.
Thank you.
What do you think?
Thank you. Well, I just hope that under Martin we're successful, that we're not looking for a new manager for a long time. It's as simple as that. If we get to a major tournament, obviously we'll renew the contract. That's something that we've spoken about. So I hope we're not appointing a manager for a long, long, long time. That's simple as that.
Just behind you there.
McDara Ferris with Extra Time. Can you maybe let us know which match Roy Keane is at today? And maybe just a follow-up. Do you think with the more straightforward qualification there's actually more pressure on yourself and Roy to qualify?
Well, I think that first of all he's going to Aston Villa today, but I think that there's pressure there, of course, but it's something that I've been used to all my life. This is an opportunity here. It's a fantastic opportunity, and it's one I would like to grab. It's one I'm excited by. I mentioned earlier at the outset, and yes, I think that. Well, John hasn't, has put it mainly in no uncertain terms, with the extra teams available now for qualification, that he doesn't see a problem whatsoever.
Let's go to Damien from PA.
He did not say that. He did not. I promise you, he did not say that.
I did.
Martin, you were disappointed with the way things ended at Sunderland. Are you now re-energised for this new challenge?
You see, I never lost the energy or enthusiasm. That was someone else's prerogative to do so, and I'm very, very disappointed. Obviously, I thought that my record in the game might suggest that we would have accrued the last 5 points from the 7 matches to keep us in the league. But the owner chose otherwise, and I then appointed a manager for about 11 games, who just about criticised everything that went on beforehand, and is not actually in work at the moment now. So, but listen, it's gone, and but in terms of what you said to me about re-energising, I never lost the energy, never lost the enthusiasm. It was always there. It's what keeps me going.
Okay, the gentleman at the very back here on the right.
Martin, you pride yourself in your honesty and integrity. If a Premiership club comes calling, do you have a get-out-of-jail clause with FAI?
There's absolutely no clauses in this. No, I'm fully committed here, and absolutely committed. Want to do it, want to do the job, and there's nothing in that whatsoever. So.
Okay, we'll just take the next question from Stephen Doyle from 98 FM.
Just two quick ones, Martin. Robbie Keane, would you like him to be your captain still? And also, there's some people would feel that the last manager maybe sucked the confidence out of the team a bit. That, maybe thought, there were times where the Irish team were known for playing above themselves, especially when Roy was captain. Mm-hmm. Would you like to reinstil that confidence and make that team believe that they can play above themselves, like you might have done with Leicester and Celtic?
I mean, do you feel that was a general view then, or is that something that What were your own thoughts on that?
The last manager probably, made the players feel that they were at a certain standard at a certain level and they couldn't play above that. So,
Well, I'd certainly not sit up here and criticise previous management team. Absolutely, I'm still well aware of the qualification that was done in the last competition, the last Euros. So. I haven't spoken to Robbie yet. I intend to, obviously. I think that they didn't make the playoffs, did they?
Didn't make the playoffs.
They didn't make the playoffs, so I'm hoping that he's going to be available for these games. I will sit down and speak to him. But I take your point, but I wouldn't be. I'm not personally aware of that myself because I'm watching from afar.
Martin, Alex Ferguson wrote at length about Roy Keane's temperament. Given the fact that he's fallen out with almost every manager he's worked with, do you have any reservations about this at all?
About bringing Roy on? I know I was kind of semi-joking there before. Absolutely none. None at all. None at all. I think you'll be brilliant for the Republic of Ireland.
And what do you make of Ferguson's comments on them? Do you think he went a bit too far in and maybe a bit over the top?
But I don't know enough about that. I mentioned earlier that that is something that he mentioned in his book. All I will say is that at their very best, they were brilliant for each other. Roy Keane helped Sir Alex Ferguson become the great manager that he is. And somewhere along the way, I'm sure that Sir Alex Ferguson helped Roy Keane develop as a player. That's my own view. It is not sitting in the fence. That's my honest to goodness view. I don't know enough about their spats and what led Roy to leave. But again, I think that's something that he can deal with himself. If you're asking me, I'm quite sure that I do not expect, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not there to change Roy Keane. Not at all. I want Roy Keane essentially the way he is. That's what I want. I will obviously, as I said earlier, half jokingly, try and make a few adjustments, and we'll work accordingly. I think he's very keen. He's very excited by it, and he wants to do well. That's really good enough for me.
We'll take the last 4 questions now, including Tony's from RT, just here on the left.
Tony O'Donoghue, RT again, Martin. We already have Darren Gibson, James McLean. Now we have you. How do you think the Northern Ireland fan feels about all of this? And the Taoiseach yesterday spoke about an All-Ireland team possibly playing England for charity at some stage. Your views on that as well, please.
Well, okay, I'll take the first bit first. And I think first of all, Northern Ireland. I played for Northern Ireland. Was captain of the team in 1982 in the World Cup. One of the great experiences of my life. And loved every minute of it. Northern Ireland, I believe, have a very fine young manager in charge at this moment. And he is obviously, I think he's just about to, or might have signed a new contract. All right, okay. So I think that puts that one to the side. I've got a job here to do. I have managed Celtic, which is, again, fantastic experiences, and I really don't see a massive problem with it. But that's from here. I don't see a problem at all. From a viewpoint about what the Taoiseach said, I think it might be hard to fit into the calendar, but it's certainly worth considering. And maybe John might have a viewpoint on that. I'm hoping John has a viewpoint on that.
Well, I suppose the Taoiseach, that came from left field yesterday. That's normally done through the Oireachtas Supporters Club. We have a government supporters club in the Dáil. They've invited us in through Jimmy Hart and John Gilroy. So I think the principle is fine. The principle of playing any game of football for charity is a very good principle. But Martin's right. Trying to find those particular dates in the calendar that's already exhausted could be very difficult. Could be difficult.
Okay, we'll take a question from Martin A.
Hi there, Martin. Best of luck for the future. Just a quick one. A lot of fans have drifted away from the team. Yeah, just over here.
Sorry.
A lot of fans have drifted away from the team over the last few years. Just wondering, have you got a message for them to bring them back?
Well, I'm hoping obviously that they will come back, and the only way for us to bring them back is to win some games and try and win them with a little bit of style and a little bit of panache, if that's at all possible. I think here that we would obviously want to try and qualify. That's the aim. That's why I'm here. It's why I want to be here, and that would really be terrific. Along the way, there's going to be ups and downs, of course, and it's a bit of a journey. But I'm not here to tell fans what to do. I'm hoping that at some stage or another that they will come back and actually enjoy it and enjoy the experience themselves. I intend to do that if at all possible, but obviously I'm a football manager, and my experiences, or my joyful experiences, will come, I think, from winning some football games.
Second last question from over here.
Colleen Duffy from Radio Lifa. The Electricity League has been pretty much on taps in terms of international players. Do you envisage keeping a close eye and maybe unearthing some new talent from there?
On the league? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very much so. I'm looking forward to that part of it as well too, and I wouldn't mind a few trips back here, so get out of the house, be terrific. But really, genuinely, absolutely looking forward to that, and I'd like to see it, because you never know. There might be just some 18, 19-year-old that perhaps maybe someone has missed, and you think, yeah, he could do it.
Okay, so last question to Ger Gilroy from Newstalk.
Yeah. Martin, there's been a huge excitement about your appointment, both you and Roy, obviously. Are you aware of that, and can you talk to us a bit about what that means to you?
Well, John has kindly mentioned that to me, that there's big excitement around about the place. Again, I think that Roy's stature speaks for itself. It's great. I'm absolutely delighted. Of course, I feel as if there's some sort of bond there, really, with having managed Celtic and having some really, really great days. Very enjoyable time. Been there for 5 years. So I'm going to try and enjoy it. Someone said to me today, there just in the little meeting beforehand, try and enjoy it, and he looked straight into my face as if to say, "Well, I don't think you are," So I'll see how things go. But again, as I mentioned earlier, my enjoyment will come from winning. It's great. It's a great old excitement, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity of the challenge.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to take the opportunity to wish Martin the very best of luck in his new position.
Thank you. Well done.
Get a handshake here, John. Martin. Stand here, please. Mark, just up. Yeah, that's great. And just in here, John. I'll move back to you, lads. Come on here, lads. Martin, give us a wave there, will you? Thank you very much. Thank you, Martin.